you have thought initial prayer? So yeah, Clara does her initial prayer, and then it's you that So let's sit responsible on our chairs. Concentrate ourselves on here and now. Let's try to breathe slowly in and out. I would like to thank Pedro Manuel and his team at his data to help us go through this presentation that Clara will deliver on Paul of Tarsus. We really have good lessons to learn from it. So we want to use those lessons in our lives. We thank Jesus for helping us, for allowing us to be here today. And we will also like to thank the guardians of the land that are also here with us today. So let's enjoy our day, our presentation.
Thank you, Carmen. And Carmen actually said something really interesting. The lessons to be learned today. And please know that the lessons are not mine. I had never read any books of Paul of Tarsus or Paul of Tarsus. I did attempt once or a couple of times, but I didn't go through. And what you know, life gives you exactly what you need. And I have to say, it was such an experience to learn a little bit of this person's journey. So the lesson is definitely not mine. And I hope we will be able to all be bathed with the teachings of Paul of Tarsus, because I am so grateful and humble for the opportunity to learn a little bit about him. However, before we start, very quickly, does everybody have their cell phones handy? Yes? Quick exercise, grab your cell phones and put on the photo mode turning towards you. Put on the camera, photo mode. Put on the camera. You guys don't have one? No? Here, you can use mine. Yeah, just have the camera looking at you. And now, very quickly, I want you to look straight into you and tell me, don't tell me, just think for a few seconds about what you see. And I want you to make a list of perhaps 10, 15 things that you would like to change in yourself. Yeah? Yeah? Close? Okay. Who got close to 10? No one got close to 10? Got close to how many? Nothing. Don't want to change anything. No? Just one? That's good. Now, look again. And this time, close your eyes. Well, don't look again. Close your eyes. And think about you. You, not the person reflecting off your phone. You. And think about a few things or anything that you would like to change in you. All the ways that you can be better. Yeah? How do we go this time? Easier or more difficult than the first one? Or the same? Easier? 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 I wonder why. You're not even looking, and yet it's easier to find things that you want to change. Now again, close your eyes and think about the things that are really, really good. And if possible, you'd like to keep for the rest of your eternity about yourself. Something that is worth going to heaven and to eternity with you. Yeah? How is this one now compared to the second one? Easier, more difficult, the same? Same? The same. What does it say about us in our journey when we look in the mirror and it's not so easy to recognize whatever it is that we see, but when we close our eyes, then we can see better. And how do I, oh, is that here? Yeah, okay. Have to share? Okay. No. Ah, thank you. Pede filhote, pede filhote. Você vai ficar quietinho? Fica aqui nas conversas. Fica quietinho. Actually, That was just our solar system just then. And that's just our galaxy. All of that. Just the Milky Way. I'll just the Milky Way. And there it flows away. How do I? So, what's the purpose of this quick video? Every time you see videos such as this, it doesn't matter if you Google, if you go to YouTube, if you see in a presentation, it's always to tell you how small your troubles are, right? How little things are compared to the vastness of the universe. And that never said, it's not showing here, Alex. Are they seeing me? I can't see anyone. Are they seeing me? No, it's okay. It's okay. I don't need to see me. Thank you. The way I believe in what I wanted to bring to us today is that if we can think the other way around, if we can think that all of that is just inside each and every one of us. Because when you think about it, I'll go a little bit scientific, not very much. Inside the cell, inside the nucleus, inside the atom of the cell, when scientists are able to open and go deeper and deeper and deeper, that's exactly what they find. A universe unexplainable to science. So whenever I see something like that, I think how big and how important my troubles are. Whatever troubles they are, my achievements and my sorrows, not how small and unimportant they are. Because just recently, we unfortunately lost a few family members in a space of 3 weeks. And one of the daughters of one of my family members said to me, Clara, I can only feel my pain. I cannot feel the pain of the other. And she was suffering the loss along with her sisters. And that hit really deep into me. And I was thinking, how big is her pain? I will never know. But right now, is as vast and as deep as that. And the connection with the lecture tonight is every so often we hear these amazing stories of people who did extraordinary things in their community, in their cities, in their country, in the world. And we are asked to imitate, to replicate such actions, because by doing so, we are one step closer to achieving perfection, to achieving and to conquering our spot in heaven, whatever heaven might be for each and every one of us. Long time ago, a friend of mine, a long time, many years ago, she said, Clara, it's really hard to follow on the steps of Kardec or Chico or Mother Teresa or Mandela. Let's follow the steps of someone close to us. It was someone that used to come to this very center, and I took that very seriously. And now my go-to thought is, what has my neighbor or my husband or my children or my teachers or my colleagues done today that inspires me to do better? The lecture tonight is about Paulo of Tarsus, Paul of Tarsus. Does anyone here not speak Portuguese? Everybody does. I know Colleen doesn't speak. Sorry, if I say Paulo of Tarsus, it's Paul of Tarsus. So Paul of Tarsus, for those that don't know, and I didn't, he is considered after Jesus, and Jackson will be able to correct me on that. He's considered after Jesus the most important person to spread the word of of Christianism. Paul of Tarsus is also considered and known for, not considered, but known for being the first persecutor of Christians. How is that possible? The first persecutor of Christians is also the most important figure after Jesus for Christians. I'm not going to lay on you the story of Paul of Tarsus, although it's just so inspiring. And I would urge you to, if you do have the time, at least do a little Google search. If you don't feel like reading the book, if the book feels too much, try to understand who this guy was and still continues being, because his story is extraordinary. Paul comes from a rich family. Actually, do you mind if I see them, Alex, just in case someone waves their hand? Sorry. He comes from a rich family, and from very early age, he was studied and instructed to be the next rabbin. He comes from a very traditional family and very religious one as well, which means that traditional Judaism was very engraved on his beliefs, on the way he taught, on the way he spoke, because he was a very talented and persuasive spokesman on his community. He was engaged to a young lady named Abigail. And it happens that Stephen, how do you say Stephen in English? Steve was captured. Sounds like you know this story as well. Yeah. If I am wrong, ta-da, she will correct me. So it happens that Steve was captured, and Paul was the one to condemn him to be killed by stones. Nano, tata. No, thank you. And Steve was a Christian, and he was spreading the word of Christ. And then you ask me, hold on, are you talking about the same guy? You just said that he is the second most important figure for Christianism, and he is ordering Steve, who at that stage was a prominent figure for the movement, to be ordered to be killed. Yes, And Steve was. And at the time he was killed, Abigail, which happened to be Steve's sister, recognized him. And obviously, Giuliano, I'm so sorry, guys, was either bring him or not come. Abigail, who was Steve's sister, she recognizes him just as Steve is dying. And marriage, no more marriage happens. Abigail ends up converting to Christianism, which Paul obviously does not approve. And Abigail passes away for some unrelated illness. What happens to Paul is that every time he sends a Christian to prison, which at that time they were not known as Christians, they were known as the followers of Jesus. Every time he sent a follower of Jesus to prison, he would actually notice how those people had such internal peace, even in the cold, dark, wet, damp prisons of the time, even when they were being hurt. They said words of love. They treated the soldiers that were hurting them, killing them, with love, compassion, fraternity, treated them as equals and as brothers. And Paul could not understand that. So when he learns that Abigail has died, he's very angry. And he learns that Abigail had converted to Christianism as well. So he's angrier. So he sets off to revenge Abigail, and all his anger is towards the one guy that baptized Abigail, and Ananias, don't know the proper pronunciation. And this guy is living in a city called Damascus. He's looking himself in the reflection. So just before Paul enters the city of Damascus, he receives a revelation, but before the revelation comes, he's being tortured by his internal thoughts. He's being tortured by the faces of Abigail and Steve, and by the words Steve pronounced to Abigail just before he died. He said to Abigail, in regards of Paul, he must be a good man, because she was marrying him. So Steve said of the guy who had just ordered him to be killed, he must be a good man, and I have in him a brother. And Paul could not understand that. How? Where does that come from? Who are these people? And as he's just about to enter the city to prosecute the guy who baptized Abigail, Jesus comes, blinds him, long story short. He falls on the ground, unable to move, unable to talk, in tears, completely bathed with a new feeling that he could not explain. And he says to Jesus, what do you want of me? What do you want me to do? Now imagine this, guys. This guy, Paul, he's very proud. He comes from a rich, traditional family. At that stage, he already is the next rabbi. His job, as he believes, is to raise the city of Jerusalem so high that would be the Jew of Israel, ready for the arrival of the Messiah. So think of a person like that. He's the commander. He orders. Wherever he goes, people obey, people follow, people are afraid. And there he is, on the ground, in the middle of the desert. And all he can say to this weird, strange light is, what do you want me to do? And the light, which happens to be Jesus, just says to him, enter the city of Damascus. And he goes. He doesn't ask why. He doesn't ask what's next. He doesn't give any but the conditions. So at the moment, my interpretation is that he left everything behind. He left tradition. He left religion. He left family. He left titles. He left beliefs. And he went. I cannot talk to any of you about self-reform. I cannot. I'm supposed to in this lecture. But Paul of Tarsus is the one to talk about self-reform. His life right there in Damascus is a turning point, and he chooses to go. And it's not easy. He sends all his soldiers away and he enters Damascus with one person. At that stage, he's blind, by the way. Jesus blinded him. He could not see. For all his life, he could only see what the physical eyes could see. And he sought truths, internal, spiritual, eternal truths. And that's what mattered, the eternal truths. When Jesus asked him, enter Damascus, Jesus saw not what he was, but what he could be. The eternal things, the real qualities, the love that Paul could absorb, could transport, could not sell, but allow other people to feel, to live by. So he enters the city as a blind man, not tormented, but a little bit still confused, with one single person by his side, not having a place to stay. So he goes around knocking on the doors of his friends. Now he's a different man, and he finds no one, not a single one, to help him. And for 3 days, he rents a room, and for 3 days, he's blinded with his thoughts. And Jesus comes, and I'm gonna turn this off because there is something really important that I would like to be very true to the words. Jesus comes to Ananias and says, Ananias, I want you to go and heal Paul. At that time, actually, he wasn't even called Paul. He was called Saul, S-A-U-L, Saul. But we'll keep calling him Paul because later on he does change his name. And Ananias said, but are we talking about the same guy? And he says, yes, but Jesus, he's been persecuting us for a long time. And Jesus says this to him. It's in Portuguese, but I will translate to the best I can. Go, because this one is for me, the chosen vase that will take my name forward amongst the Gentiles and the kings and all the sons of Israel. And Ananias goes, heals, he can see, and Paul can see again, and he starts his journey as a reformed man. But interesting to see the way he leaves the city Damascus. He lives hidden in a basket. The man almost entered the city as a king. He wasn't a king, but almost considered so. And he left through a window in a basket, hidden. He was living the life that the apostles had been living for many years. And he chose to do so. Paul chose, again, when confronted by soldiers, to receive those lashes, because he could just simply call upon his name and his authority and turn away, turn his back to the life he had been living for the last few months. But even when imprisonado, taken to prison, even when considered another follower of this Jesus, even when considered as small as these others who talk about this fake Messiah, he chose to continue on the path. Many years through his journey, he decides to go back to his town where his dad was already living. And he talks to his dad and reveals to his dad the new life he's living. His dad already an old man. His dad turns to him and says, "You've got to choose. It is either me or this Jesus of Nazareth. Nazareth." And he chose Jesus. I don't know if anyone of us, and I hope not, can imagine the size of the pain a son must feel when the dad says, "You gotta choose between me or that one." Boyfriends or girlfriends probably have heard such a thing, but father and son. So every step of the way, he had opportunities to say, "This is too hard. I can't take it anymore." It is said that one day in prison, he received 39 lashes. 39. And I'm guessing that he was not clothed. He was not bathed. He was not fed. He was not given a bed. He could not see the light of the sun. He was probably in a dungeon, cold, wet, receiving lashes. And it is said that on that time, he entered ecstasy, not because he was special, but because his path had led him to the life that he was choosing to live. Paul did a few what's considered as jornadas, the travels. He did four of them, not about four. He did four of them. And on the very last one, on the fourth one, Maria de Nazareth, Mary of Nazareth, and John Baptist, I believe, come to meet him. Mary is very, very old at that stage, can barely walk, so John is holding her, helping her, and they come to meet Paul as he enters the city by the shore. And Paul farewells them and says goodbye as he's about to depart to Rome. And John says to him, "It's okay, don't say goodbye. We're gonna see each other again." And he says, "I don't think so, not on this life." He knows what is ahead of him. Just like Jesus knew that he was about to be betrayed. And he did not back up. He went to Rome knowing he would never again on this life see his friends, see the mother of the guy he had been calling Messiah. When I read this, I was thinking, wow, it's like saying goodbye to your mom. I get a little emotional. Because his story is so inspiring. And obviously, in Rome, his journey on earth ends. Not on earth, on this plane ends. And he returns to meet with Abigail, with Steve, with Jesus. The point of all of this is that he was not. I'm not taking away his credit. Please take lightly what I'm going to say. He wasn't special. He was a man that was called upon to do good. And he accepted that. And every single day he continued to accept that. Every single day he made a conscious choice of being good, of allowing other people to know, to understand, to feel. Even though it was hard, very hard. How many of us would have done the first journey? Or I think that at the moment I was blind, I was like, too much, I'm out of here. Let alone going 30 years in this life, having your family turning your back at you, going cold, hungry, being banished from place to place, having to flee for your life. And he chose this. So self-reform is hard. But every day we have the choice of reforming ourselves. Every day we are called upon. Perhaps we don't receive the beautiful blinding light that Paul received. Perhaps Jesus himself in the full splendor doesn't come to us, but he comes in so many other ways. Gigi, my daughter, just recently, even though I keep saying that to her, just recently she decided to hear from someone else. She said to me that her teacher said, just give your best. If you don't get it, it's okay. Just keep going. We're 5 years old. And we struggle with that, don't we? We struggle to see that we have so many good qualities. I'm actually impressed with you guys that it was equally difficult or equally hard to see your qualities as it was to see your not so good qualities. Because a lot of people struggle. Given this exercise, most people would, in a blink of an eye, come with a list of 5, 10, 15 defects. Flaws, thank you. But when asked, give me a quality of yours, an eternal quality, because that's what Jesus saw in Paul, eternal qualities, the possibility of. We all have the possibility of. Even Kardec, it said that when presented with the mission, Kardec inquired of the Spirit of Truth, so is this my mission? And the Spirit of Truth said yes. And Kardec said, can I fail? And he said, yes. And what if I fail? Kardec asked. And the Spirit of Truth said, if you fail, someone else will do it. So there was a possibility that he could fail as much as there was a possibility he could succeed. Every day, there is an enormous amount of possibilities, and Jesus is able to see the light, the love, whatever you call God. It's able to see the possibility. Imagine, just for one moment, imagine if whatever it is that you really, truly desire in yourself to be better, to be different, already is. If you wish to be more patient, if you wish to be, I don't know, more clever, if you wish to be more punctual to our appointments, what if it already is you, that person? And the only thing that is missing is you to walk towards that possibility and make that possibility a reality. Because that's why Jesus blinded Paul, so he could see not with the physical eyes, but with the internal eyes, with love, not judging. So to wrap up tonight, you have all been given a little something under your chairs. You can decide to open now if you want, or open later. But before you do that, I want to read to you again, because to me, when I read this bit, I had goosebumps. Jesus said to Ananias and Ananias, go, because this one is for me, the chosen vase. So perhaps, not perhaps, for sure, there is someone, somewhere, saying that of you. And the possibilities are always there. It's only a matter of us choosing. Questions? No?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Just to compliment, Ananias was the mission of Saul when he left Rome. Ananias was the target, and Ananias knew that. And when Jesus asked Ananias to heal Saul, that's what he has. Are you sure? Are you talking about the same person? And then Jesus said, yes, this is the chosen vase because of the qualities of Saul. Saul had so many qualities used on the wrong cause, but he was the right person for the mission that Jesus had. That's it. Sorry.
I want to use you as a quick example as well, Jackson. For those that don't know Jackson, he's been with us for as long as Carmen has been with us. And Jackson used to say a sentence that I used to have and still have mixed feelings about. He still says that sentence. He says, I am too green for this. I am too green, not ready yet, not ripened enough yet.
Not mature.
Not mature enough yet for this. And when I asked for guidance for this presentation, it was a green guy that set me on the direction that I went. So it shows to me, Jackson to me, is a testimonial of how much we can achieve. And we don't need to look up into the gods, upon the gods and the stars and all these people that have done such tremendous amount of work. When I think this is too hard to learn, I think of Jackson and how much he knows, and he does.
Yeah. Thanks, but yeah, no, I'm not that old. No. We have someone who doesn't speak Portuguese that is someone as well to look to. And she's going to talk soon.
Guys, any more questions? Oh, I
What you say of, Paul and history. That's one of the reasons that anyone that asks me what book they should read, not that I've read many spiritual, but a few. But I think that's one of your must read book. Not because of what Paul is, and because he's considered the rocks of the Church of Christ. But because the journey itself of what he was and what he become as inspiration, and it was a book that when I finished, I was kind of crying. You know when you cry that something really hurts you, but in a way that kind of that changed you. At some point, you kind of can't breathe, can't cry, can't think. You just there trying to put your things together. That's what the sensation. If I could try to explain what I finished that like. So it's a book that I think everyone's like, you have to choose just few books to read about it. That's one of them.
Yes. I have to agree with you now. I wouldn't have agreed a couple of weeks ago to be like, oh, okay. I started reading this book 2 times and it was not my cup of tea, but now I agree. I have not read the book, but through the research, yes, spot on.
Yes, I read this book, especially the beginning, because it's a bit complex, have to travel through all the characters of the book and how like Stephen Abiel, how the journey starts to become to the fine soul and all kind of becomes what it becomes. But if you put your faith, keep reading, this is a very good book that kind of, for me, changed. Like, I have read few books in the spiritism, and like, all of them bring something, of course, you always get something out of this. But that one was the first book that I said, ouch. Like, that really stopped me and made me think a lot about myself and things, and, because sometimes we talking about our exercise, like it's easy for us to point out the worst of us. And I think we are the worst, like the more critical, about ourselves. I can talk about myself. I used to find deep inside of myself that I would be like unspeakable, I would say like that. But after reading that book, because you saw what he was and what he becomes, you kind of say, I still have a chance, So that's the kind of book I think everyone like, a book that can change.
Yes, yes. And imagine, you just said something so interesting. We're always so critical of ourselves. Imagine if that moment when Jesus said to him, enter the city, he was like, no, I can't. Look at me. I persecute, I kill, I judge. I'm too great for this, Jesus. Don't call me upon this task. I am too small at those sort of things try to make us feel. I am too small. But no, he didn't buy into any of these stories or excuses. He went straight into the point. Yes, I can do it. Whatever it is, bring it on. And again, guys, it's not easy. But it doesn't have to be hard. All we have to do is decide every day. If no more questions? Can we close? Can we close? Yes? Questions from you guys online? No?
I'm okay.
Oh, Gisele might have something.
Yeah, no, I just want to make a comment that stuck with me. It's the blind part of the story, because it's necessary to be blind to see, because you see with your eyes, but we see with eyes in our senses is discernible. But this symbology or the fact that he was blind to me, it just brings that that's true, that you need to be blind to the still world to see the proof that we see. Just that comment from me.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure.
So yeah, that's really good. So could you please conduct a prayer box?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
So yeah, just conduct a prayer box and the final prayer. After that, we will just go get you ready for the leading passes, and then the time will let you know when it's your time to go out and have your section at the open stage. All right?
Thank you. Divine light, love that speaks all languages, that reigns in all places, that fills all spots, and that feels all pains and sorrows, and that knows all the paths. Thank you for allowing us to be here tonight in communion with your teachings, in communion with your presence. Allow us, Father, as we go home and retire to the peacefulness of our homes, to the quietness of our minds. Allow us to understand in your hearts what our ears and brains could not connect the dots, not only of the presentation tonight, Father, but of every single gap in our life and in our soul. Allow us, Father, to align our decisions with the light that you are and that we are as well. So we go from being uncertain to just being divine. Allow the same way, Father, for those who are not present in physical body, in thought, but who are deeply needing your assistance, whose names are in the prayer box, whose names are in our lips, in our minds, in our prayers. Send to each individual soul the needed and necessary medication, relief, love, console, warm embrace, the word. It could be someone knocking the door, offering a hot meal, someone coming with a warm blanket to the coldest of the nights. It could be a text message or a phone call. Allow us, Father, to receive what we so desperately need so we can continue. Help us in our journey. Help us remember that we are in control and we can be in control with your assistance and with your guidance. Bathe in blessings this beautiful land which we call home for the moment. Bathe in blessings those that stepped and lived here before us and cared for this land and continue caring. Bathe in blessings those that care for our native land. Bathe in blessings, Father, all of those who care for every single land on our planet and for every single place, especially those that embrace the injured, the wrongful, the wronged, the ill, the faithful, the ones that need teachings and the ones that teach, the ones that produce and the ones that consume. Father, brighten our world in every single aspect of it. And by doing so, our spirits will be brightened and lifted as well. Send flowers and perfume to the deepest corners of our souls, so we ourselves can be reunited with beauty, the beauty of being. Thank you for allowing us. Thank you for every single presence. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Okay. Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks,
you.
Clarinha. Thanks,
Thank
Clarinha.
you. Beautiful.
Beautiful. Bye, Gigi.
Well done.
Bye, Gigi.
Have a good week,
Bye,
everybody.
Gisele. There are two G's here, the G e a G.